In this video, I'm going to walk you through the Honor Win's gaming performance in detail. We'll talk about how the cooling fan works, what changes when it's turned on or off, how loud it gets, and what daily battery life looks like. I'll also cover wired and wireless charging speeds, screen eye comfort features, overall display quality, and of course, the camera. From game setup to real-world use, everything you'd want to know is packed into this one video. Hey everyone. This time, I've pulled together a ton of test data to give you a complete and well-rounded review of the Honor Win. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Let's start with battery life. Beginning from a full drain at 0%, the phone managed to run for an impressive 15 hours and 38 minutes before shutting down. That result really stands out. Compared to a 7,000 mAh phone I tested about 2 months ago, the Honor Win lasts significantly longer. If you've been waiting, I'd say the patience paid off. When it comes to charging, a full charge takes 92 minutes, while hitting 100% usable power happens in just 63 minutes, which is very close to what we saw on the Honor Magic 8. Despite the large battery capacity, the charging power stays high throughout the process thanks to the fan helping with heat dissipation. You can clearly see this in the charging curve, where the red line for the Win consistently sits above the blue line. Looking at smart fan mode, the fan automatically adjusts its speed based on temperature. This is its first key role, boosting charging speed and preventing thermal limitations. I also tested 80 watts wireless charging, but since I couldn't insert a power meter into the charging dock, I wasn't able to record a full power curve. Instead, I took measurements every 10 minutes and plotted the percentage increase. The phone reached 100% in 84 minutes, hit 42% in 30 minutes, and reached 78% in 60 minutes. For wireless charging, that's seriously fast, and the speed stays very consistent. Only after passing 90% does it slow down slightly. Personally, I mostly rely on wireless charging now. When I'm working on my computer, I simply place the phone on the charger. The reason wireless charging is this fast comes down to two fans working together. One is the built-in fan inside the phone, which I keep running in real-time mode. The other is the fan inside the wireless charging dock, which pulls air in from the bottom to help with cooling. With both fans assisting, heat is managed very effectively. At around 80 minutes, the highest temperature on the front reached 40.3 degrees Celsius, while the center peaked at 37.6. This actually produces less heat than standard wired charging. That said, at night, wireless charging is intentionally slower. Over 2 hours, it only charged to about 50%, mainly because the fan in the charging base could disturb sleep. Even though the noise is minimal, it can still be noticeable. So nighttime charging slows down, and after 7 a.m., fast charging kicks in again. That level of detail deserves a like, doesn't it? The phone also supports bypass charging. When gaming, power can be directed straight to the motherboard instead of the battery, reducing heat buildup around the charging area. If you carry two phones and the other one runs out of juice, the Honor Win can double as a power bank, offering 27 watts wired reverse charging. It supports both wired and wireless reverse charging, meaning it can charge and be charged in every possible way, wired or wireless, forward or reverse. Design-wise, I really like how the Honor Win feels. It has a tough, solid look without feeling overly bulky. The chamfer on the back is especially large. Many flat-screen phones have chamfered edges, but they're usually quite small. Here, the larger chamfer noticeably improves grip and comfort. All the buttons are on the right side, and the AR button is still here. Turning into a camera button isn't ideal, since in landscape shooting, your fingers can't easily reach it, which makes things a bit awkward. However, it's genuinely useful for AI-related features, and I really like that. This time, the button also introduces a new function, Game Space, allowing you to jump into games faster. I do think it could be improved further. Quick access to replay codes would make it even better. In terms of hardware features, you get an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, full anti-tamper protection, and dual 1216 speakers. Sound quality is actually quite good. One nice improvement is that at around 40% volume, switching the sound profile to standard greatly reduces vibration. For someone like me who doesn't enjoy back panel vibration, this is a welcome change. It manages to satisfy users who care about audio quality while also keeping vibrations under control. The main downside here is the USB 2.0 port, which means large file transfers are slower. However, Honor has introduced Super Workbench, and it really helps. I tested it myself. Transferring a 4.76 gigabytes file via a wired connection took 124 seconds, but using Super Workbench cut that down to just 49 seconds. That's a huge improvement and makes up for the USB 2.0 limitation to a large extent. Honestly, I strongly recommend using Super Workbench for file transfers. It's wireless and significantly faster. Moving on to performance benchmarks, in Geekbench 6 CPU tests, all three performance-focused devices scored around 11,000 points in multi-core performance. The Honor Win stood out in single-core performance, reaching 3,737 points. Across 6 consecutive benchmark runs, open cooling stability reached 95%, while closed cooling stability hit 93%. When temperatures are lower, the difference isn't very noticeable, maybe just a few dozen points. But once temperatures approach 40 degrees Celsius, the advantage of having a fan becomes clear, and the gap widens. Single-core stability remains at 95%, but with the fan turned on, performance improves while temperatures drop from 41.6 degrees Celsius to 39.4 degrees Celsius, a reduction of 2.2 degrees Celsius. In GPU benchmarks, whether testing 4K rendering or 2K rendering, the Honor Win consistently scores higher. In the ultra-high-quality clear iron test, after 30 minutes in a controlled environment, the screen held a steady 60 Hz refresh rate. Power consumption was 6.62 watts, and the frame rate averaged 59.89 FPS with almost no fluctuation. An outstanding result. If there's one small downside, it's that brightness drops to about 360 nits in the final few minutes. In real gameplay, this difference is only around a dozen nits, and power consumption changes by less than 0.1 watts. It feels more like a missed optimization than a serious issue. Even so, the temperature peaked at just 44.7 degrees Celsius, which is about 4 to 5 degrees cooler than the other two devices. That's an impressive advantage and really highlights the effectiveness of the cooling system. This really brings out the fan's second role, lowering overall temperatures during gameplay while also keeping noise under control. I even measured it with a decibel meter. When you're gaming normally, your ears are roughly 30 centimeters away from the phone. At that distance, with the fan running at full speed, the noise level sits around 36.5 to 36.6 dB. According to what I found online, a sound level between 30 and 40 dB is considered a quiet environment, similar to the soft hum of a refrigerator or the gentle noise from an air conditioner indoors. Personally, I can still hear it when it's spinning at full speed, and the sound is definitely noticeable. That said, when I'm playing online games in smart mode, I honestly don't even realize when the fan turns on. The game audio completely masks it. If you're playing something more demanding and louder, the fan will spin faster, and you can hear a bit of noise, but it's still within a reasonable range. Of course, many people are curious about how it performs with the fan turned off, and I didn't skip that test either. In terms of frame rate and dropped frames, the results are almost identical. The difference shows up in power and heat. With the fan off, power consumption is 32.4 watts, which is the clear advantage of disabling the fan. The downside is temperature. It rises by about 3.5 degrees, reaching 48.2 degrees Celsius. Even so, compared to other devices, this temperature isn't particularly high. So even without the fan, Honor's gaming performance remains excellent, delivering lower power usage and a more natural, immersive experience. A big reason for this is Honor's third-generation Phantom Stabilization technology. To put it simply, at 60 FPS, each frame should ideally take about 16.6 milliseconds to render. If the system could maintain that timing perfectly, gameplay would feel incredibly smooth. In reality, that's rarely the case. Take a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 device as an example. At the start, frame times are fine at 16.6 milliseconds, but later on, you'll see frames taking 33.3 milliseconds or even 49.9 milliseconds, which is 2 or 3 times longer than ideal. Using that 49.9 millisecond frame as an example, 3 frames should have been produced in that time, but only 1 actually appears. In-game, this shows up as a brief stutter. Honor tackles this by using AI to predict these stutters and inserting 2 virtual frames to make up for the loss, effectively smoothing everything out. Since only 1 or 2 frames are added occasionally, there's no noticeable increase in latency. Looking at CPU behavior, Honor's supercore can run at 1600 MHz, while the large core operates at around 930 MHz. This delivers strong performance without pushing power consumption too high. There's clearly some impressive GPU tuning happening as well, although detailed GPU data isn't accessible unless the device is unlocked. Comparing this with iQOO and OnePlus, iQOO's supercore frequency is lower, but its overall performance is on par with the OnePlus 15, and its low frame rates are even better. Because of that, I'd say iQOO's tuning is actually stronger than OnePlus's. On the prototype at extremely high graphics settings, using Night Orchid and early night E-skills for acceleration, the system holds 60 FPS for 2 stages, and the 1% low frame rate stays very close to 60 FPS. You can see this clearly in the frame rate curve, which appears as a straight line with almost no fluctuation. What's interesting is that during this test, Phantom Stabilization wasn't even enabled. Meanwhile, the other 2 devices dropped to 56 FPS and 55 FPS for their 1% low frame rates, resulting in noticeably more fluctuation on their curves. In terms of power draw, turning off the fan reduces consumption by about 0.44 watts, which aligns with the chip's behavior. Across the board, the difference sits at roughly 0.4 watts. Temperature-wise, enabling the fan drops the device from 42.7 degrees Celsius down to 40.2 degrees Celsius, a reduction of 2.5 degrees. As for CPU frequencies, Rayon's supercore runs at just over 1,000 megahertz, similar to the others, while its large core reaches around 1,500 megahertz, in line with previous chips. Despite these high frequencies, overall power consumption stays low. For iQOO, both the supercore and large core frequencies remain the lowest of the group, yet its frame rate and low frame rate performance are about 15% better than OnePlus, and it also has the lowest power consumption. Moving on to Ming Dynasty at very high settings, the first thing to note is power usage. Turning off the fan again reduces consumption by about 0.45 watts. When you combine this with results from the previous games, it's safe to say that enabling the cooling fan adds roughly 0.4 watts of power draw. Comparing all 3 devices with the fan off, their frame rate performance is very similar. Rayon stands out with the lowest power consumption. For low frame rates, iQOO is slightly behind, while Rayon and OnePlus are close. Rayon also records the lowest temperature at 44.7 degrees Celsius, while the OnePlus CPU peaks at 46.4 degrees Celsius. Rayon's super and large cores both run at around 1400 megahertz, which is still quite high, yet its power consumption remains the lowest. Even with the fan turned on, it still uses less power than the OnePlus 15. Everything up to this point focuses on performance comparisons. For the remaining games, I didn't separate results by fan on or off, and vibration mode was used throughout. Starting with Honor of Kings, the average power consumption is 3.54 watts, and temperatures stay low at around 38.7 degrees. For low frame rates, the results came in at 118.7, 117.47, and 109.99 FPS, with minor variation depending on in-game intensity. Since Honor of Kings collaborated with Delta Force, I tested that as well. Right now, the highest available setting is 120 FPS in HD, with 144 FPS and 165 FPS still likely under optimization. The average frame rate reached 179.47 FPS, with power consumption at 4.85 watts. That's actually higher than Genshin Impact at very high graphics settings, showing just how demanding it is. As for the 1% low frame rate, Q speed at 80.97 FPS supports Genshin Impact running at a 165 Hz refresh rate. In-game, the frame rate hits 163.88 FPS with power consumption of 4.63 watts. While the frame rate curve does fluctuate, the real-world experience is still noticeably smoother than playing at 120 Hz. To wrap things up, let's first talk about which games actually take advantage of Genshin Impact's high refresh rates. Titles like Rocket Rush, Kart Rider, and Minecraft can all run at 185 Hz. Games such as QQ Speed, PUBG Mobile, League of Legends, and Delta Force support 165 Hz, although Delta Force still needs some further optimization to fully get there. For smooth gameplay, screen size also plays a big role. And this time, we're getting a large 6.83-inch display, which makes everything clearer and more immersive. In daily use, the touch sampling rate sits at 145 Hz, but when gaming, it jumps all the way to 480 Hz. Take PUBG Mobile as an example. By default, its touch sampling rate is 210 Hz, but once you enable touch enhancement, it can reach the full 480 Hz. So if you're chasing ultra-responsive controls, that option is definitely worth turning on. For users who care about display quality, brightness is extremely important. But what many people don't realize is that not all far-field positive light panels are the same. On the left, we have the Honor Win, and on the right, another phone in the same price range using a similar far-field positive light solution. When I rotate a polarizing filter on the right-hand device, you can clearly see a rainbow effect appear, which points to an older generation of the technology. With the Honor Win, rotating the polarizer barely changes the brightness at all, showing a much more advanced implementation. So yes, even within the same category, the quality of far-field positive light can vary a lot. The screen itself is LTPS, which means the refresh rate doesn't constantly jump up and down, helping to reduce eye strain. Of course, LTPS also has a known limitation. It can't support a true global always-on display. Even if AOD is present, it usually shuts off after a few seconds. That's different from LTPO panels, which can keep AOD visible all day, so you can always check the time and notifications. However, Honor has long offered a feature called Attention on Display. With this, when the screen is off, simply looking at it activates a global AOD view. Thanks to this feature, even with an LTPS panel, the Honor Win still gives you a full AOD experience, something most other LTPS screens can't achieve. When it comes to dimming, the screen supports 3 to 840 Hz PWM at 120 Hz refresh rate and an even higher 5920 Hz PWM at 185 Hz. It also uses the same personalized brightness and color management strategy found on the Magic 8. Through contrast and color gamut testing, you can fine-tune the display to match your personal preference. Overall, Honor Win builds on its strong eye protection foundation by increasing brightness from 10 nits all the way to 500 nits, with only a small power increase of about 1.17 watts. In standby, both the 10 nit and 500 nit modes consume around 0.3 to 0.4 watts more than the Magic 8. That's because the Honor Win screen tuning is quite aggressive. No matter the brightness level, the refresh rate stays locked at 120 Hz during standby. Many other LTPS screens will drop to 60 Hz at high brightness to save power, but the Honor Win doesn't really need to worry about that thanks to its massive battery. So while power consumption is slightly higher, the overall screen experience is clearly superior. In terms of brightness numbers, measured brightness in 3 major apps reaches 860 nits, with peak brightness hitting 1290 nits, which already surpasses the OnePlus 15. In the photo gallery, sustained brightness stays at 860 nits as well, but peak brightness can go up to 2020 nits, once again beating the OnePlus 15. Screen uniformity was tested at 500 nits, and the maximum difference between the top and bottom of the panel was only 14 nits, which is excellent. These are all objective measurements. Subjectively, when it comes to color, I personally prefer the standard color mode. It looks more natural and comfortable, while the factory default vivid mode can feel a bit tiring on the eyes. So my recommendation is to stick with standard color. On the hardware side, the main camera setup includes a 50 megapixel telephoto lens, while the ultra-wide camera is a bit more modest at 12 megapixels. Given the phone's positioning, these specs are actually quite reasonable. I also took some sample photos so you can judge for yourself. For everyday use, the image quality is more than sufficient. By simply adjusting exposure or switching filters, you can quickly get good-looking shots. And when I say quick shots, I don't mean randomly snapping pictures without thinking. I mean, you don't have to dive into complex settings. Just pick a filter, frame your shot properly, and press the shutter. Of course, if you want truly beautiful photos, you still need to compose them carefully. You can't just pull the phone out on the street and shoot anything and expect magic. Overall, in my opinion, the Honor Win, much like the Magic 8, is a true flagship, just with a different focus. The Honor Win leans more toward performance. If you care about battery life and gaming more than advanced imaging, this phone is incredibly well balanced. It delivers outstanding results in both daily use and gaming. If you've been waiting for the right moment, this device is absolutely worth it. Its weight, overall configuration, and huge battery make it so strong that it'll be hard for competitors to beat even a year from now. The reason is simple. Bigger batteries mean more weight and bulk. The Honor Win already weighs about 230 grams, which is slightly heavier than the X300 Pro, a flagship camera phone. Pushing battery capacity even further in future models will make weight control extremely difficult unless something else is sacrificed. For example, the Honor Win RT is about 5 grams lighter, but it loses the telephoto camera and wireless charging. That shows just how close a 10,000 mAh battery is to the practical limit when you want to keep everything else intact. That's it for today's video. If this helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye, and keep smiling.